property tax abatements and eminent domain back in the 1970s.
Right.
And I don't know how much they actually use that eminent domain or not, but now you look at, they get very few tax credits and tax subsidies over the last decade or so, and that's a great thing.
Right.
But here you have the city just subsidizing all their competitors. So you have a case where St. Louis City and the state were empowering Laclede's Landing to subsidize its growth in the 70s and 80s, and now are just subsidizing all of its competitors to death. Washington Avenue, the Soulard, with various tax credits. And people might be interested to check out the map. And I can't decide if it's just desserts or a dog chasing its tail. It's just the constant cycle of new subsidies putting old competitors at a disadvantage.
Well, the story was that of the 14 bars, 7 of them have closed down, and many of them are near closing down. They've now torn down that garage, which I guess was to the south of the landing, in between that and the arch.
Right,
so
very convenient parking for people going.
Right, so you can't get there from the south, you can't get there from the west, and it's really hard to get there from the north. And so it was already sort of hard to get to already. Now it's virtually impossible. So they're going through a difficult time. You can only, then with the casino there, right? People drive down there, they go to the casino, they eat, they drink, they sleep all at the casino and then leave. So that's another drain on the landing. You would hope, though, after that the arch is finished, that the landing sees a little bit of a rebirth, you would hope.
You do hope. And the construction part that's a type of inevitable progress. I think it's probably progress. I like the arch. Right. I don't like how we're necessarily paying for it, but
there's a lot of private money going in.
Right. Yeah. I like the road. The road construction is inevitable, and sometimes businesses are going to be disadvantaged by it. I remember a decade ago they redid Washington Avenue, and businesses along Washington Avenue were it was tough for them for a year.
There was
so.
one business and a whole bunch of homeless people were in trouble when they redid Washington Avenue. No, I'm sorry.
So hopefully Laclede's Landing will rebound to the construction, but the subsidizing of their competition through state and local tax credits, tax subsidies, I mean, that's another issue. And it's an example of, here you had the city and state subsidize one area 4 decades ago, and now they're subsidizing all the competition. It never ends. It just never stops because people start to assume that these subsidies are to be expected, and they're there for the asking.
Well, and they sort of artificially inflate an area that wouldn't necessarily be there, and so you're skewing the supply and demand aspect of the economy.
Oh, you're absolutely skewing it. Look what Ballpark Village is doing to the bars that used to be just south of the Busch Stadium right there.
Yeah. All right. You also wanted to chime in. We had a news story about music therapy. You want to chime in on that?
I did. You know, as a regular listener to the station, you guys were airing a story at the top of the hour about music therapy changes to the law in Missouri.
Yes.
And it was a nice news story. Music therapy is a wonderful thing for developmentally disabled children.
Yes.
But the bill is nonetheless terrible.
Come on. What do you want to take the poor music therapy away from these kids?
No, I do not want to take music therapy away from children. What I don't want to do is require that music therapists now be licensed by the state of Missouri. And to take the news story that your producer printed out, it says here, the goal of the bill is to prevent untrained practitioners from harming consumers. So the state is now going to protect us from bad music.
Yes.
I mean, that is now the state's role.
We need that.
As if I get a reimbursement if I go to a concert that I don't like. I mean, it's that silly that it's absurd that the state will now license people who provide music therapy if they don't do a good job, then the other therapist will stop sending the children to the music therapist.
But maybe it's more than just playing music with these kids. If they're being called music therapists, then they have to have, I would think, some kind of maybe license. Maybe
they'll. I don't know.
I don't
Why
know.
would you think that? Because we license way too many things in it.
I know what you're doing. No, I know what these therapists are going to do. They're going to make these kids believe that they like, jazz music or something.
As opposed to rap or classical.
They're going to trick them into liking country when you really shouldn't like country. It's a funny and legitimate point.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now,
first time for everything.
Being on the other side there.
But it is. This is, and it's coming out of, there are certain schools in the state that offer programs in this, and these schools now benefit if you now license music therapy practitioners. People who want to do it but don't have the license now have to pay to go back to school to get the hours accredited to do it, whether or not they have any actual need to get additional training.
Right.
This is the type of decision that customers and markets should make, and not the state. There's no need to license music therapists.
And one more opinion from David Stokes, who is the development director of the Show Me Institute. Our unblockme.com website, which hides my router's location so I can lift the block out of the Cardinal games from MLB.com. Am I breaking the law, David Stokes?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I can't imagine
What?
how that is.
Is he
how that
the
is a criminal
police on this?
No, but
But I don't think there. Nor should there be any police on this. Is the other matter where your router is coming from to access an online baseball game?
right.
Or
That's like when you're getting free cable from your neighbor or something.
No, now that's stealing. That's
That's stealing, hiding a router so you can get.
No.
you're
That's
just going through a different router.
I'm just going through a different router. Right, exactly. So, and it isn't like there's a state law that says Cardinal baseball has to be blocked out from people here in St. Louis. That's a business decision. Fine. So I'm making a business decision to pay someone to hide my router so I can pick up your games.
Right.
Right.
I'm with McGraw on this. Kelly.
See, as usual. All right.
I'm outnumbered.
David Stokes, when can we read you? When can we see you?
A lot of good information on state licensing and the subsidies that Laclede's Landing is being, I think, victimized for at showmedaily.org and showmeinstitute.org. And you can follow me on Twitter at David C. Stokes.
Today he was smart.
That's a lot.
Next time I'm not so sure, but today he was right on.
Thanks, McGraw. Thanks,
you got
Kelly.
it.
Thank you.